Sometimes when it comes to the St. Louis Blues, I try to be as positive as I can, but lately I feel like I cannot give the Blues the benefit of the doubt. And why is that? I'm going to tell you coming up here on Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon here, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. This season, I know it's been only a month in, but I have felt all of the emotions. I felt optimistic. I felt excited. I felt disappointed. I felt angry. And I think it's fair to say that the Blues' pathetic start to the season has me feeling some kind of way. I'm also going to do an Are We Feeling Blues segment. That's my every single Friday segment here on Locked On Blues. For those that don't know, it's a part of the show where I actually ask you on Twitter at Locked On Blues your thoughts, and then we discuss how we feel about the Blues. And then finally, draft picks are on my mind, and why is that so early onto the season? Before I get into everything, I want to let you know to follow Locked On Blues on Twitter at Locked On Blues, or my own Twitter, which is Haley T. Simon. Okay. I need to say this. Currently, the Blues are hosting the New Jersey Devils, which could end very badly for St. Louis. So if you see me looking up, I'm just like checking the score to make sure because I have the game on. I had a lot of stuff today and I had to see a family member that needed me to see them. So that's why I'm not usually in my studio at home. But, anyways, the Blues had such a pathetic month of hockey in October. And I think, okay, and I'm not trying to call it other teams in the NHL because I respect every team has their challenges. But my friends over at the Locked On Sharks have really summed up how they're feeling about their season thus far, and they've been feeling frustrated. I mean, hey, their team only has gained 1 point after 10 games. But why am I so frustrated with the St. Louis Blues? Why do I feel angry when it comes to how they're doing? And that is because I have seen the effort decline over the past couple of games. I think that at the end of the day, you can lose games in hockey. That's going to happen, especially when you're facing a lot better of teams. But in no possible way should you look lazy on ice, play more relaxed and not giving the full effort. That was something that really bothered me. And it's something that I don't think I can look past. The Blues, they still only have the 7 points. And it concerns me greatly because this is a league where you have, I mean, the Knights have yet to lose a game, but they have 21 points. So that's like the maximum amount of points that you can get. And the Blues only have 7. But besides the points, I think it's basically the players and how they're doing. And granted, I know the game is going on now. Nothing really that exciting has been happening. But when it comes to goals, and it comes to getting those points, you have more guys with no goals than you do guys with even goals and assists combined. And I expected a lot more out of certain players. Buchnevich is a player that I always expect a lot out of. When he was on the Rangers, he was very dominant. And while I understand that this season may not be the best one for him, and I know that he's been around the league for quite a while, but he's still only 28, so he does have a lot of, energy and momentum still. It's just been very frustrating. When it comes to our friend Nick Leddy, again, I didn't expect much out of Leddy, but he is actually playing better than I thought he would. But the only 2 guys on the team that have 2 goals, which is the most goals, is Braden Saad and Robert Thomas. Everybody else only has 1 goal or nothing. I don't think words can reiterate how disappointing this has been. I think Jordan Kyrou has been a bust this season. And I know I kind of talked about that yesterday on the episode, but I think why is my opinion so much more clear now than it was yesterday? I was able to sleep on it. Okay. I was able to take all of my frustration from yesterday's episode and I was able to go to bed and wake up and I was able to just process, hey, this team, it's hard to be optimistic when they don't give you a reason to be. At the end of the day, I have seen nothing that I like out of Torrey Krug. He's put up no points. And while I know on defense it's a little bit harder to do that, I really was rooting for him, okay? I really thought that Torrey Krug was going to come out and he was going to have a better season because of his awful off season. I mean, it wasn't an awful off season. Like I know he had an injury and then all the drama, but I just thought that he would have something to prove. And I think that a guy like Torrey Krug kind of just being more relaxed, yeah, it rubs me the wrong way. There's no denying that. But it's hard because it is early in the season, so I hate having like all these preconceived notions of, oh, this team's gonna suck, but it is what it is, and it sucks. Okay. Now, I have noticed, and I want to address this on Twitter. I did post a tweet with the lineup for tonight, which I'm going to tell you. And I said, hoping for the best, expecting the worst. And somebody said, oh, what kind of fan are you? Well, I'm a Blues fan, obviously. This team has given me no reason to have this enormous amount of hope. Being a fan is also being realistic, okay? And when your team plays pathetic in the first month of hockey, yeah, I'm going to be upset because this is worse than the hockey that they played in the second half of last season. It is impossible for me as a fan to put out things and say, oh, well, the Blues, they could win. This could be a really good game for them. When in reality, I don't see that happening. I am sorry if that disappoints some people, but I love the Blues. I always wear my blue note proudly. But you can't tell me what you see on ice is worthy of me saying, oh, yeah, this could be a really good game for the Blues. I hope I'm wrong. But the New Jersey Devils are a cup contending team. The slate of games that the Blues had, this past stance and then there's home stance, it's going to be tough, okay? The Blues are going to have some really tough games. And yes, do I want the Blues to be successful? Absolutely. But one thing that I cannot stand is people saying things like, "Oh, you're not a fan," when I just haven't seen things that I like out of them. But I mean, hey, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and that's fine. I don't understand it, but whatever. Anyways, the Blues projected a lineup for tonight, which is actually the lineup that is going to be tonight. If you're just listening to this now, then maybe you watch the game or some people tape the games. I don't know. I watched the games live, but nothing much with the lineup really changed. It's Robert Thomas with Pavel Buchnevich and then Kasperi Kapanen. I always say Buchnevich. Buchnevich. Every single time, Buchnevich. And it's funny because I watched him when he was on the Rangers, and I do this all the time. For those that don't know, and I don't know if I've ever said this, I have a little bit of dyslexia. So sometimes, like in my head, like letters will switch, which is fine. So if you ever like, oh my gosh, like you're mispronouncing it, in my head, I'm saying it correctly. But when I'm reading things, because I have it on my notes, sometimes it gets swapped in my brain. So I see some comments like that, and I'm like, trust me, I know how to pronounce the players on my team that I like. I just don't know if I ever address that. Then we have a Braden Shen, and that's going to be winged by Braden Sod and Jordan Cairo. And then Kevin Hayes, and he will be winged by Alexei Torchenko and Jacob Vanra. And then we have Oscar Sundquist, and he will be winged by Sammy Blais and Jake Neighbors. On defense, the first pair is Nick Leddy and Colton Paracco, Torrey Krug, Justin Falk, Marco Scandella, and Robert Berzuzo. And then a netted spinner. So far, the game is 0-0. Fine. The Blues actually have more shots on goal, which I'm happy about. I really need the Blues to get some points here, especially at this 4-game home stance. So without further ado, before I talk about my favorite segment, like my love of my life segment, as a business owner, you realize that there are times when receivables might fall behind. That doesn't mean you need to fall behind on the vendor payments, payroll, or rent. For more than 25 years, Parkview Advance has helped businesses secure working capital from 5,000 to 1.5 million. Parkview Advance can approve your working capital in as little as 24 hours. It's a much easier process than you might imagine. We invite the many entrepreneurs that are locked on NHL fans to learn more by calling us at 203 675 0071 or go to parkviewadvance.com. If your business needs working capital, call Parkview Advance today. Parkview Advance, helping businesses with their working capital. Go to parkviewadvance.com. My favorite segment on Locked On Blues is Are We Feeling Blue? I had to ask you today, and we're going to get into that. So, before I get into that exactly, I also want to let you know about Indeed. Indeed's awesome. If you're looking to hire candidates, this is the platform that you need where you can attract different people sending their resumes and you hate waiting. Well, Indeed's US data shows that over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job. What I like most about Indeed, it is so super easy and simple to use. So Indeed knows that you're a growing business and that you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that your must have job requirements. Okay, so visit indeed.com/locked on to start hiring now. Just go to indeed.com/locked on, indeed.com/locked on. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Okay. Are we feeling blue? This is my favorite. I said I have to ask you guys. I know how the outcome's going to be. Was this a good week for the Blues? The options were yes, no, and at least we're not San Jose. Okay. So 6.3% of you said yes, that this was a good week. 39% of you said at least we're not San Jose. And 54% of you said no. This was not a good week for the Blues. Nathan says, as bad as San Jose is right now, we are a bad weekend away from joining them. We haven't been losing to someone 10-0 midway in the third, so that's a plus. And that is a plus, Nathan. And this is where I am getting at. I understand that there are tons of people that want to be positive about the Blues. I get it. I was one of those people. I'm still one of those people. I'm just not going to say it right now because I'm stubborn. But I want the team to succeed and I want them to be thriving. And my whole thing is this. While I understand, hey, like you're the host of Locked On Blues, you need to be positive all the time. That's not realistic because right now, what I am seeing on the ice, and I'm going to say this again because it is frustrating when I'm allowed to be upset based on how my team is performing or not performing. I'm seeing sloppiness, and that's not something that is okay. I mean, yesterday I had a conversation about how Jordan Binghamton deserves better, about how Craig Berube might be going, and I'm going to get told, oh, you need to be more positive. Positive about what? When the Blues give me a reason to be more positive, I will be. I have complimented individual players, such as a Robert Thomas, okay? I have been complimentary. I have said numerous times, I'm happy that Sundqvist is back, and I think he does a good job on the ice. But how can you realistically look at the slate of games coming up and think to yourself, yeah, the Blues are going to win all these games? That's not going to happen. Right now, it's still 0-0 after the first. Well, it's only a couple minutes left of the first, so knock on wood. And I'm proud of the Blues, and they look a lot better tonight. But I think at the end of the day, it's okay if you're a fan to be frustrated. It's okay to be annoyed. It's okay to have your own opinions. I think that that's what makes hockey such a great sport is that the players, they feel the frustration as well. It's a sport where it's all about responding. And I think that's an interesting way to kind of put it into perspective. You have a bad game. Okay, how do you respond? And I think that's what the Blues players need to do. I don't think it's one of those things where you need to say, oh, they could still go to the playoffs. No, let's not even go there. I just want them to have a successful season. And sometimes a successful season, unfortunately, does not mean the playoffs. It means just finding your core selves again on the ice. And I want to see Captain Braden Shen really do that some more. But it's one of those things at the end of the day where I love the Blues. And it does upset me that there are some people that think that just because I'm being negative, and the negative isn't because I woke up and I'm like, I want to be negative about the Blues. It's frustration. You watch every game, you watch every practice, every interview. You're invested. You read all the articles. You spend basically majority of your day surrounded by the Blues, which I love because I wouldn't do it any other way. But I think that fans sharing their frustration shouldn't be something frowned upon, especially how many turnovers can Jordan Kyrou have without somebody calling him out on it. Whatever. Okay. Before I talk to you about something else, I just want to let you know about my friends over at BetterHelp. Okay? So, BetterHelp. Why do I like BetterHelp? Well, I think the most important thing is that this time of the year it can be a lot, and it's natural to feel some sadness or anxiety about it. Holidays are coming up. I know for me, the holidays, I'm actually not the most cheery person on the holidays. So I think that also advocating for your mental health is a really important thing. And getting, your stress and being able to manage it is something that everybody needs at some point in their life. I personally know that when I get stressed out, I'm a little on edge, I like to suppress how I feel. But I know with BetterHelp that it's all about how to deal with your emotions. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, and by the way, I know that, this idea of therapy, people think that it makes you seem weak, and that's not the case. I think therapy is actually one of the strongest things you can do for yourself. And if there's anything from this episode that you can take away, you may not agree with me on my hockey stuff. Cool, fine. But I just want you to know that I think it's so awesome that therapy and mental health is being talked about more than ever, because I know personally I utilize it, and it actually makes you such a strong person. So I'm proud of you if you even consider it. But anyways, so it's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to fit your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime with no additional charge. I always say therapy is like dating. So sometimes it does take a little bit while to find the therapist that matches best with you. So visit betterhelp.com/lockedonnhl today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. Haley, why are you looking forward to draft picks? Why are they on your mind? Okay, well, right now, St. Louis is like a bottom 7 team, and I know what you're thinking. Is it too soon to be thinking about the draft? No. I think that right now, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen, the draft for this class is not going to be as good as last draft classes was. I think the free agency market is significantly better. So I'm not encouraging the Blues not to do well. Like, I want them to win games and I want them to potentially try it for a wild card spot. But I'm just saying that if it doesn't work out, there are a lot of great draft talents, and the Blues need some younger players that can develop quickly. And I also, next week, I'm going to dive more into the guys on the Thunderbirds that I think could be caught up soon and that have been impressing me. What I want to say is this, is that I'm all about advocating for young talent and young players, and I want them to have the opportunities. I don't think it's something that, I feel like some people don't feel that way. They want them to come up when they're fully developed. I'm all about, you know what, right now something's not working. Let's give the younger guys a chance, because you never know. And hockey is a weird sport where some guys, they may not do as well in the AHL, but once they come up to the NHL, they absolutely thrive. And, I was actually watching this documentary really fast about players who were first round draft picks from every single year since like 2000. Okay. It was a lot. And Edmonton, they had like about 6 first round draft picks in a span of 10 years. So it's one of those things why I always say this. This is why I love Dvorsky so much. Yes. Was he a player that the Blues got a little bit later in the draft, right? Yes. He wasn't a first round draft pick, but sometimes those first round draft picks seriously do not work out. And this has nothing to do with Connor Bedard. This has nothing to do with any of these other guys. But I'm just saying that you can still find really good talent later on in the draft. So where am I getting at with this? If the Blues have the 7th, that's not going to mean anything as long as they're in like the top 12, right? Then they're going to get a really solid player, but you never know. Guys surprise you. But the reason I'm saying this is if Coach Berube is somehow listening to this podcast, first up, what's up, Chief? Let's switch it up a little bit. Let's call up some of the younger guys and give them a shot. Because at this point, I hate to say it, you have nothing to lose. And I want some justice for Zach Dean. So, with that being said, I will talk to you on Monday like usual. And just remember that it is okay if you're a fan to show some negativity towards the team, right? It just means that you're passionate. And like always, let's go Blues.